What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We just had Emilio in here chatting with us. He's having to head out of town. Tim, I don't know. It's kind of suspect, man. My man was loading up the vehicle and leaving town. What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's got some business to attend to. It looks like I don't know. It would have been nice if he would have put a shirt on when he was chatting with us, but Emilio.
Emilio's like Matthew McConaughey. If he's not doing anything formal, he's shirtless. That's just the way he rolls, man.
All right.
Exactly. So I know Jacob's working tonight, so it's just going to be me and Tim in here this evening. Tim, you were at practice all day. I'm excited to just kind of get your take on what the vibe was like. We got a ton of updates to jump into as well. But before we do, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors. That's good people over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since 92, specializing in Packers tickets, Wisconsin's largest ticket source, with offices next to Lambeau Field and in Milwaukee. Just click on the link in the video description. That'll send you to their website, theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer. Go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Make sure you check with Ticket King. They're going to be able to save you time and money all season long. They're partnered with us. Really appreciate them supporting the show. Again, theticketking.com, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. So, Tim, some news came across the wire. We got a bunch of stuff to cover, so we're going to go rapid fire. I'm excited to get your take on all of it. But this, listen, you never root for an injury, whether it's a division rival or not. But this has got to be devastating to Minnesota Viking fans. I know, with obviously the loss of Kyrie Jackson, the human, forget the football player, right? That tragedy that happened earlier in the year, and just other things that just kind of came down the pike their way. Today, what I've heard out of camp is J.J. McCarthy has looked excellent. And then today, Ian Rappaport tweets out, Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy missed practice with knee soreness, and tests revealed a meniscus issue that he'll undergo surgery for, per me and Tom Pelissero. What I'm hearing, and I don't have the latest information, maybe you guys and gals know in the chat, it sounds like they're going to know more once they get in there and look at the knee. I don't know if they're going to go in and scope it or what, but there's a good chance he's probably going to miss maybe half the season at best type thing. I could be wrong there. I know they're preparing now for Sam Darnold to definitely be starter day one come week one. You hate to see it, Tim, but at the same time, as a Packer fan, it's like it is what it is, man. There's no two ways about it. It definitely hurts the Vikings organization.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love that part of it. Don't get me wrong, but this could also bite us in the butt here because Darnold is, he's a tenured quarterback in this league,
very good
compared to a rookie. So this might not be that good of news for Packer fans. But football aside, man, the first thing that I thought of when I saw this story break is, a young rookie quarterback trying to make it in this league, going down early here. Looks like he's going to miss a lot of time here in his rookie year. And we know how that can impact a career. So, I feel for the player, the person. But yeah, as a Packer fan, I'm just going, thank God it wasn't one of our guys. But the human in you has to have a heart for a young player like this, especially a guy who, had it all in front of him, coming into an opportunity like taking over, possible QB1 for the Vikings without, Cousins not there. And, they got Jefferson, they have weapons there. They needed a quarterback, and it was a great place for a guy like him to land. And this kind of setback can really screw with you. So, our hearts go out to him and his family as he kind of deals with this. But I say bring on Sam Darnold and the boys. We're going to see him twice this year. I say twice because we won't see them in the playoffs. We'll be there. They won't. But you feel for the kid, right? I mean, absolutely. Your heart goes out to him. It sucks. It really does.
Yeah, it does, man. And the good news in the situation for J.J. McCarthy, obviously he's a first-round pick. So it's not like he's hurting for money. It's not like he was one of those undrafted free agents. Now it's like, holy cow, is my career over type thing. But, yeah, again, bittersweet. It's one of those things you never root for an injury, but at the same time, there's no two ways about it. This sets their quarterback plan back a touch. And who knows, maybe Sam Darnold was going to beat J.J. McCarthy out anyway. The vibe I got was J.J. McCarthy was looking really sharp and was probably going to take that quarterback one spot. But nonetheless, just wanted to cover it because it's NFC North news. Some other news came down the pike here. ML Football, I tweeted this out. They had tagged me in it. It said UFL star running back Nate McCrary is signing with the Green Bay Packers. Per his agent, Paul Bobbitt exclusively told ML Football, okay, said he was a standout at Saginaw Valley State. He's only 25 years old. Tim, I believe, if I remember correctly, too, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I think he was in camp with the Packers last year, I believe. I could be wrong there. I want to say that was the same back that had come through. I know he had spent a little bit of time in the league, but nonetheless, man,
I know where we're going.
I don't want to play the A.J. Dillon clip because I know what's going to happen. You guys and gals have probably already seen and heard the A.J. Dillon clip. And it's essentially a 1-minute video that was recorded at his locker where, for lack of a better way of describing what happened, he's defending himself. And I try not to talk about stuff on this pod, on this show, that's like overly negative, because life sucks. There's people that are going through crap that I'm not going through, that you're not going through, Tim. You may be going through something that I don't know about. We're here to have a good time and talk about the positives around the Packers. And if you see it, you got to say it. All that stuff holds true. But it was just a bad look for Dillon. And I see this signing, and I'm like, man, I don't know. They're bringing in another camp body. I know Marshawn Lloyd's got the hammy. I know there was someone else is banged up too. I was reading that. Someone else, I think it might have been Merriweather, it was a little banged up, but could just be a camp body. But also that interview with A.J. Dillon, man, I'm just telling you, I've studied the game of professional football for quite a while now, well over a decade. And when I say study, I mean study. I'm not just talking about I've been a fan now. I've been a fan much longer, but that's when I got my head out of my ass and really started paying attention to stuff that matters. A.J. Dillon, in that interview at his locker, broke every cardinal, every rule that you're taught from the PR department when you're doing an interview. You know, never say anything bad about a teammate. Never talk about a teammate unless it's good. He didn't say anything to anybody specifically, but he essentially said the blocking was bad. I said I didn't want to get into it, and here we are getting into it. Nonetheless, we signed a running back. Yeah. Might not be anything. Might be hey, AJ might be dropping on the depth chart. You know what I'm saying, Tim? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But in all honesty, this time of year, I don't care what organization it is, this type of transaction is totally normal. If it, you know, I think everything's under a microscope considering the amount of press and convo that's surrounded A.J. Dillon since the preseason performance on Saturday. And to be honest, I'm wondering if maybe that's where some of this kind of chippiness, kind of attitude change on his behalf, it might be coming from that. You know, you carry the ball 4 times, you hear the fan base rip you to shreds. You're probably not going to be too enthused to be chatting about specifics when it comes to things. But I agree with you, Clayton. There's a way to go about things. But you know, I will say this, just like you did. You know, he didn't mention anyone specific. This wasn't pointing out, you know, pointing fingers or anything, but it was definitely kind of teetering the edge of, you know, something you don't really want to hear your guys saying, especially on a team like this where everyone's playing for each other and we want our guys bought in. And I really think the signing of McCrary here is just, I don't want to say it's, put A.J. Dillon on notice. No, it's putting everyone in the organization, us fans included, on notice that, you know, we've got Josh Jacobs, we've got Emmanuel Wilson, we've got A.J. Dillon, we've got Mr. Merriweather. We've got a few options. We need to bring more in because Marshawn Lloyd is dealing with the hammy. I talked to him today after practice, and I asked him how it felt, and he said it's doing better, you know, feeling good. The vibe I kind of got is, of course, he's going to say that. You know, what else would you say to that question? But definitely had the sleeve on today. So, you know, beyond Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson right now, who? You know, that's the real question we should be asking ourselves. Who's the next man up? So you look at a signing like this, hey, get a healthy body into camp. Let's see what he can do. If he sticks around, makes a practice squad, great. If not, hey, it is what it is. But we got another game to get ready for this weekend, and the ball rolls forward.
Yeah. Bates says, I haven't seen the Dylan interview yet. Oh, no. Listen, I sat here and teased the whole thing. We're going to show it just so you guys have heard it, and then we'll move on, okay? Let's just do it that way. We'll let everybody draw their own conclusion. I know there's several people already commenting. I will say this, the comments underneath this tweet, it's about 100-1 of people just going, screw this guy. And that is so rare for A.J. Dillon. But here's the interview we were talking about. And, again, this came in across Twitter from Cody Krupp on Twitter, at Cody W. Krupp. Make sure you go give him a follow. Here's the interview with A.J. Dillon, just about 1:10 long.
And on Saturday, you didn't have a ton of opportunities, of course, trying to get, the second, third, and one. When you look back on film, people on Twitter might say, why can't he get a yard? Like, what did you see when you watch back? Is there, it seems like, is there no room? It's just nothing to, what can you do at some point?
I graded a 98%. If you know football, you watch the tape and you don't look at the stats and you are actually put yourself in the game, somebody else go out there and do more than what I did. That's just a situation, and that's football. And sometimes you have a drive like that where, a block doesn't happen here, block doesn't happen there. I don't know what Twitter said because I don't go on Twitter unless I'm posting something, but I can imagine somebody, there's nowhere you're going to go there in those certain situations. But in all honesty, man, if you don't live inside my house, your opinion to me is so secondary that I couldn't be bothered with it. But to anybody on Twitter or whatever, you can't do what we're doing. Just enjoy, just watch. And I promise you, everybody in this building is working their ass off to do the best they can.
I love those last 4 or 5 words, but everything else is
yeah,
that's a tough look.
I don't go on social media unless I'm posting something. Okay, I'll believe that. I'll go ahead and believe that. But you know what? I think he's just I don't know. It looks like he's a little agitated. I mean, he's saying in one breath like, "Oh, I'm not paying attention to all the chatter," but it's like clearly you know what's going on here, and you're not happy about it. He looked a little defensive, right? Didn't he kind of come off a little defensive?
Yeah. And what's crazy is after the initial comment, it was like he almost caught himself and he started to say the right stuff, and then he went right back into, Emilio had asked me, hey, what problem did you have with it? And this is probably the best way to answer that question for anyone who's thinking, how did I think? And again, I'm looking at it from Bill Walsh 101, Brian Billick 101. Hey, look, you're talking just like a coach. You're kind of talking to your teammates. You're talking to, everyone else. He said, quote, sometimes you have a drive where a block doesn't happen here, a block doesn't happen there. Like that's basically saying the offensive line was garbage. The second thing was, if you don't live inside my house, if you don't live inside my house, your opinion to me is so secondary that I couldn't be bothered with it. So basically, if you're not a part of my family, I don't care what anybody thinks. And
that's where I get the defensive vibes from. That sounds like something you say when you're kind of defensive.
Then he says, I scored a 98%. It's like, translation, this wasn't my fault. You know what I mean? It's kind of the way you take that. And then to anybody on Twitter, you can't do what we do. Just enjoy, just watch. So basically, fans, sit down, shut up. That's the way I took it. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
It's a tough look, man.
I like what you said, though, like in our group chat there this afternoon, kind of just like not a good look. Either way you shake it, it's not a good look for us.
Yeah. It sucks, man, because when he's a fan favorite like that, and he has been for so long, and we always talk about the mayor of Door County, and we're always playing the John Deere clip. Like we went to I was as happy as anyone when he signed that deal. It's like, holy cow, we got him for cheap. That's wild that he wanted to stay in Green Bay. Now he had made a comment that he got better offers in free agency, but then he went on to say, after you factor in tax differential from the state of Wisconsin to where he got the offer at, it was going to be about the same deal. So essentially he didn't get the same deal, or he did get the same deal, I should say. I don't know, man. Again, you're catching him at a down point. Anybody who's ever lost a job, and if you're hearing my voice, somebody's going, oh, hell yes, Clayton. I know what it feels like, and it sucks. It sucks. having to go home to your family and you feel like a failure. And it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to give him some grace there, but at the same time, it's, like Greg Rice said, didn't like to just watch. It's, Let's see, 2-0 for this says, instead of saying I graded 98% and other things, he said he could simply have said, I'll have to watch tape and see what I could have done better and work on that and moved on. Right. And again, Leadership 101 is absorbing criticism, even when you don't think you deserve it. You absorb the criticism and you redistribute the praise, right? When you have a big game, man, my offensive line was awesome. When you have a bad game, it's, hey, I got to do better. Those guys deserve better. Whether you believe it or not, like that's how you're taught to handle that. So I don't know, man. It sucks. That's the bad thing about football is you get attached to players and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And we don't want to pick apart every little thing he says or every time he raises.
Which is what I just did. Basically.
Yeah. Well, not too bad. We didn't go too deep. There's people that are worse. I mean, you got athletes that'll be asked a question and they'll say, I don't have a comment. And then people spend 10 hours reading into what no comment means. So I think we did a pretty good job of just scratching the surface on this and not giving it too much energy. I will say this, though. I'm willing to bet A.J. Dillon has more than 4 carries this week. Yeah. And I'm willing to bet that his performance is better than last week. I'm not going to say it's going to be great. I'm just going to say I don't think we're going to see him, at that type of performance. I just don't. Even just by law of probability, more touches, more carries, more opportunity, more chance for success. And whether AJ wants to admit it or not, he saw that film. He probably saw it more times than we did. And I guarantee you he wasn't looking at still frames. So I look for him to bounce back, honestly. And that's what leaders do too, right, Clayton? You get down, you get back up. And I think he just comes off as a guy that feels like he doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. It's kind of like, his game, his career, and he's going to go out about his business, how he's going to do it. And, we'll sit and watch, AJ. We can't wait to see on Sunday what happens in Denver.
Yeah. If anything, man, play pissed off. Go out there and prove it. Go to LaFleur and say, hey, on this first drive, give me at least one duo and let me crack somebody's sternum. Yep. That's what's going on. I want them coughing up blood and just hit that A-B run and just light their ass up. Like, that's how you respond to this. Again, I wish the interview would have never happened. It just sucks. Yeah. But again, if you see it, you got to say it. We got to talk about it a little bit. So we're done with it, guys. And I know there's some people like, God, I wish I wouldn't hit that negative stuff. I understand. I get it, man. I get it. All right, so let's go to QB1. And again, you talk about a leader, man. This dude right here, my God, every time he opens his mouth, Tim, it's like this dude, he just gets it. He understands. This was cool. You guys remember I tweeted out the Next Gen Stats video where it showed the touchdown throw to Tay Wicks. And we got a little more information now. It seems that actually, I want to give a shout out to Robert. I got this right here. Let me do this real quick. Robert, one of the loyal listeners, he said, hey, Clayton, just watching the game back more intently to catch things. Just wanted to let you know that was Ronnie Hickman that got burned by Wicks, not Pro Bowler Denzel Ward. So we do know that now. Also, I can confirm Tim is right. Quay is wearing the green dots. So he did confirm that, Tim.
Sweet.
Now, as far as that being Ronnie Hickman, what's key to understand about that play, and Jordan talks about it a little bit here. He says it's one of their base plays. It's called slot fade. Actually, let me play this, and then we'll talk about what I want to mention here. Here we
go. No, I mean, Matt called that play, dialed it up, but it's one of our base plays, just slot fade. So got a good matchup out there on Wicks, and he ran a great route, stepped on the guy's toes, and one over the top, didn't let him touch him. So it was a great route, but just a call Matt made.
Love it. So there you go. So he called it slot fade. Now, you guys know we broke it down a little more intently than that. I don't think I won't be able to get the whole thing to show up there, but it was basically out of 11 gun. They went tray right, Y flex. The thing that made this play go, Tim, was you put the tight end flexed all the way out to the sideline, and that was Luke Musgrave. And they've got to make a decision. Do we leave our corner out there on Musgrave, or do we put a safety on him? They chose to put the corner on Musgrave, which put a safety on Wicks. Now, when you talk slot fade, basically in that situation, Dontavion Wicks even though he's technically the Z there, he's kind of acting as the slot because he's in between the Y and in between what is truly the slot, or what they probably refer to as flyer, to be honest with you. That's where you get kind of convoluted. You don't want to get too caught up in those muddy waters. But essentially what you had was you had Jaden Reed run a climb route, which is a crosser, a deep crosser. And he got the single high safety to go with him. You ran a Haas concept on his right in his hip pocket there, which was Dontavion Wicks running a 9 fade. That's the slot fade he's talking about. And then, of course, you had the Y run a curl. That's Haas. So you had a 9 route with a curl. That's Haas, albeit a 9 fade. So it was just cool that's how you got a safety matched up on Dontavion Wicks. And it's everything that Coach LaFleur is always talking about, Tim, about we don't need a true number one receiver, right? And it's funny because I'm going to get this pulled up here too. Jason Wilde, I found out later it was Jason Wilde. He asked Jordan Love the same question basically that he asked Matt LaFleur in the presser yesterday. That got Matt LaFleur kind of heated. And
look at Jordan's face already in this frame.
Watch him grin. When he answers it, he kind of grins too. So I'll just let the video play and we'll talk about what he says here. And it goes hand in hand with what we're – think of that Dontavion Wicks play and how they tried to get him matched up on the safety. And then think about this stupid-ass question where people are always going, who's the number one? Who's the number one? It doesn't matter who the number one is.
His face right here looks like that meme, right? Like, bruh.
Yeah.
Come on, bruh. Really?
That's the same look Mandy gives me when I come down them steps on Monday night and that trash is still sitting out there at the curb. You know what I mean? She's like, what are we doing, bub? Get that down there to the street. Here we go.
I made a mistake yesterday of prefacing a question about Wicks by mentioning the lack of a number one receiver. I'm still trying to understand that with as much talent as you guys have at the top of that depth chart, and even down the depth chart, where does Dontavion kind of fit into the puzzle that is that group?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, we have a real deep, receiver group. Which, like I said before, is a good problem to have. We got a lot of guys that can go out there and make plays, be in different positions, move all across the field. So I think it's great. I mean, we'll mix those guys up. When one guy gets tired, another guy just go in. So we just have, fresh guys out there. But as far as he mixed in the lineup, I mean, we saw it last year. I mean, all those guys can be anywhere. I feel like they can all run different routes. So I mean, it's all play dependent. If a guy's number one read, things like that. So we'll see. We'll see as the season goes in and get more game plan stuff going. But I think all those guys can fit in anywhere.
And that's exactly what Coach LaFleur said, right? Now think back to 2022 when Rodgers, with the broken thumb and the receivers led the league in drops and everything just kind of fell apart in 2022. And the whole year, Kurt Warner was breaking down all the tape, and he kept saying these receivers are not reading their choice routes properly. Now what Matt LaFleur has are these receivers who have grown in this system, and now you have 4 receivers that understand the choice route aspect to Matt LaFleur's offense, meaning they know exactly where to be based off reading the defensive back, right? He talked about Dontavion Wicks stepping on the corner's toes or the safety's toes, understanding the defense, understanding, okay, in this choice route aspect, you can either get skinny inside, you can run a straight 9, or you can run a 9 fade. He knew in that situation, single high safety, I need to work the sideline. That's the choice aspect of that slot fade. So when he said stepping on his toes, then what he meant was get right up on that safety. I mean, right up. Get your feet as close to his feet as possible, and then just dust him, right? But it's just so cool, him acknowledging and just, again, when a quarterback speaks, it should sound like the coach speaking. When the coach speaks, it should sound like the quarterback speaking. You should be in unison. That's what was so glaringly obviously bad about A.J. Dillon's little mishap there. He's not speaking the same language as everyone else, right? And it's just a bad look. With Jordan Love here, man, it's cool to see him. What a mature dude, Tim. He just immature, man.
You could tell him he was calculating his response there, and trying to process whatever the question was. Once again, wherever the question was in that statement. But he's poised. It's funny, you can really look back and just watch how Jordan is much more comfortable dealing with the media than he was even last year and the year before. So it shows in these interviews because he's a little different than AJ Dillon, right? This is QB1. This is the face of the franchise here, massive new contract and all. So he's really being selective about how he's going to answer these questions. But we all know Jordan's got his head screwed on straight, and this is the guy that we want leading. And, I saw a comment here. Deadfish actually hit this right on the head. The wide receiver being covered by a safety is the number one wide receiver.
Exactly.
Usually changes from play to play. And, that's kind of the formula for success that I think exists with this Packers receiver core is that, and Jordan, you could tell by his response there is like, he basically said everything except for, I don't give a damn who's out there. Run the right route. I'm going to hit you. We're going to win ball games. He kept saying, make plays. We have a lot of guys who can make plays. And at the end of the day, that's all you're really looking for out there. If it's number 6 on the depth chart or number 1, doesn't matter. And the fact that we don't have a bona fide number 1 for the first time since Davante Adams, is a good thing. This team has been on the ascent, whether we want to admit it or not, since the Davante Adams trade and the dust settled. Things are looking up for this receiver core, and it's because we don't have, a quote unquote premier number 1, stud guy. So I like this formula, win by committee, and I think we're going to get success in the long run.
Definitely. 2-0 for this says what he meant was get close enough to hawk 2 on that thing. You get me? Do it. You know what I'm saying, Tim? Do it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Coach LaFleur earlier at his presser. Let's see. I sent a tweet out. It says, head coach Matt LaFleur talks about his receiving core and their willingness to block. I love this quote he uses. No block, no rock. Tim, this is what it's all about right here, man. When you talk about how Jordan Love just built up his whole receiving core like everybody's a number 1. What did Matt LaFleur say? All those guys are number 1s to me, right? And then here he is bragging on the blocking.
Was telling us you showed the team a couple clips of Grant Dubose blocking in Saturday's game. Where have you seen the growth in that part of his game, and how important is that to make the team as maybe a 6th wide receiver?
Yeah, I think it's big time. That's something that we absolutely emphasize here, whether you're the number 1 receiver or not. All those guys got to block. They understand that, and they've embraced that. And, I heard a saying once, no block, no rock. So they all want the rock.
I love it. I love it. Yes, he can, Emilio. And obviously he's talking about Grant DuBose. Tim, they broke down the tape and showed Grant DuBose blocking in that preseason game. And you know how awesome it is.
I think Grant DuBose is wanted by Cleveland police for assault. I really do. I saw some of the run backs too of that film, and interesting because he's aggressive and he's got good technique and good form, good feet, good framework, and he's a great blocker. And by the way, he can catch the hell out of the football too and run routes. Lot to be excited about with him today. It was just fun to watch him. I will say this, for all the talk about him passing Malik Heath on the depth chart or up the escalator to making a spot on this team. I saw these two, they were thick as thieves today at practice, man. So for 2 guys battling out for quote unquote, maybe that last roster spot, these guys are building each other up. They're competing hard. They're going hard. I did see a couple of sets where Malik and Grant were both on the field at the same time. So I think the staff wanted to see them running sets together. And then there was a few times that I saw them separate them, and they pulled Grant off for a little bit, let Malik run some routes, and then they were kind of utilizing them, one at a time. But you can tell the microscope is out. They're looking at both of these guys, but clearly Grant DuBose is getting all the attention right now, and deservingly so. Like I said, we're a year behind on all of that with him.
Right.
So to see him come out and maybe possibly break out here right towards the middle end of training camp, this is exciting. And again, like Jordan Love just said, it's a good problem to have. Oh, look, here's another receiver that's awesome. Yeah. Don't get me started on Julian Hicks. The first guy I saw catch a ball today was Julian Hicks. A beautiful pass from Sean Clifford early at practice today. He just dropped one in the bucket, as they say, floated it over the coverage, and Hicks made a great play on it. So there is a ton of talent at the receiver position here.
Definitely. And I'll tell you, someone else who kind of got bragged on, Andy Herman tweeted this out. He quote tweeted himself where he put a clip out and he said, Jacob Monk has some real potential at center. Look how quick he is out of his stance and into the next gap. Impressive stuff from the rook. And then with that quote tweet, he said, ask Matt LaFleur about this block today. Had a lot of positives to say about Monk. And he said he's going to be out there a lot playing all three positions on the interior in the preseason. Now, keep in mind, this next preseason game, it sounds like they're not going to play the starters. So we're going to get a heavy dose of your Jacob Monks. You're going to get a heavy dose of your Grant DeBoses. It's going to
get a heavy dose of A.J. Dillon.
Yeah. And I hope he just runs like someone possessed. But I want you guys to watch this real quick. Key in on the center, the center behind Sean Clifford here. Watch him get out of his stance and how he seals this backside off. This is not normal. Look at that. Watch his feet. Look at 62. Bang. You know how hard that is to do? Look at that lunge, that step to the right.
That's a big boy with a lot of agility is what that is. That's amazing.
And keep in mind, if I remember correctly, too, he had a great pass blocking grade, but he didn't have much of a good run blocking grade. But look at his feet on this run play. That is so difficult to do. Understand, for those of you on the pod, those of you listening on the pod, this guy that he blocks, he's in the center position. And the guy that he blocks is in what we would call, I guess you could call it a 2-eye. See how he's on the inside shoulder of the guard, Tim? Yeah. That's what we refer to as a 2-eye. If he was dead set in the inside of that gap, you would call it a 1-tech. So he's on the inside shoulder of the guard, and the center snaps the ball and lunges over basically 1.5 yards, flips his body completely sideways and seals off that backside. That's some damn good footwork for a rookie center.
We've heard Mike Wall talk about this repeatedly, about it starts with your feet. And if you can be the biggest, strongest, toughest dude, know all the plays, have great hands. If you don't have the footwork down, you're not gonna be a good lineman in the NFL. And to see a guy this young with this kind of agility and footwork is promising.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff, man. So just wanted to hit on that and shout out to Andy Herman for taking the time. Obviously, he's been breaking down the tape, and for him to put that tweet together and then couple it with something that Matt LaFleur said, really, really great work, man. Andy's just top notch when it comes to covering the team. There's no doubt about that. So anything else you want to hit on based off of what we just talked about, Tim? And if everybody would take a quick second, hit that like button for us. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be going live daily all year long. Post-game shows, pre-game shows. We'll be breaking down chalk talks, doing X's and O's. We'll be bringing you all the news. When someone says something hateful at a press conference like A.J. Dillon, then we'll mention it too, unfortunately. But we appreciate y'all making us part of your evening here. Tim, anything else you want to hit on based off what we just said before we get into practice here, man?
No, let's keep it rolling.
All right, so I want to ask you right off the top. I got all kinds of practice updates. I want to get your take. What did you think of practice today? You were down there at Ray Nitschke Field. It looked beautiful. Not a cloud in the sky, didn't look like. Probably a little bit of a breeze blowing. What was the vibe like down there, and what stood out to you, man?
Hot and intense. That's the vibe that I got today. Trademark first move is to head over to the south end of the facility and watch the D-line and the linebackers. That's one of my favorite things. But I did get to walk around. I sat in the bleachers a little bit, made my way around. I got to see a little bit of everything today. Oh, that's a good clip here from Wes Hockowitz in the background. Little netball drills today. But no, intensity. That is the ringing thing. I had a bunch of videos. They're still uploading now. I wish we could be sharing those right now. Had a little bit of a technical issue. But I got some really good video that we would definitely have to lower the audio on because of the sheer amount of F-bombs being dropped. And let me tell you, nobody drops more F-bombs than Coach Reb. I'll tell you, Coach, that man is he's a war general when it comes to that D-line group. Put it this way. It didn't matter if they were doing one-on-ones, if they were running through cones, if they were hitting the sled, if they were in team drills, he was screaming all practice long. And that's what I'm noticing now. And this is a testament to every year around this time. The intensity level picks up as you get closer to cut days, as we get closer to the regular season. You know, guys are fighting for their NFL lives out here, and everyone's making each other better. Good clip of Jair there. Good to see him back out today. Also, I can verify Zane Anderson is in fact a real person. I actually saw him with my own eyes today on the sideline. So he is real. For anyone who was suspicious, he's real. He's not a AI generated image. So that was good. But no, in a nutshell, Clayton, man, intensity and heat. We saw Quay Walker kind of pulled up with some cramping issues about a quarter of the way through practice, and they got him squared away, got him back on the field, and he finished today, which is good news. One of those things that kind of looked worse than it really was when it happened. But yeah, man, hot and intense, and tomorrow should be more of the same. They went a little over about 2 hours today, so I don't know if Coach LaFleur is going to have them go longer tomorrow or taper off as we get closer to the end of the week. But it was a full practice today, and intensity level was cranked up for sure.
Heck yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go to the chat real quick. Eric Sutherland says, going to be doing some 24-hour streams, right, Clayton? I'll be living in a van down by the river if that's the case, my man. I'm trying to get as many streams in as I can because I really enjoy talking ball with y'all. But yeah, we got to keep the, happy wife, happy life. And the opposite of that, Tim, you end up in a van down by the river. You know what I'm saying?
And that and a nickel will get you jack squat.
Michael in the chat, good to see you, buddy. He says, thank you for pulling me away from politics for a bit for something more fun. We all need that, Michael. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. I don't care which way you plan on voting. But, man, it's nice to get a break from that stuff every now and again. There's no two ways about that. Appreciate you hanging out with us, man, for sure. Here we go, Tim. What you got here? What are you showing us, man?
I'm whatever I can off of my Google Drive here. That's still in the process of uploading. I don't know if you can zoom in a little. I tried my best here on the screen. That's Preston Smith and the boys on the sideline. Well, you can see in the background, you got Clifford and Jay Love and Michael Pratt doing net drills, and
there was my Uncle Charlie.
Yeah, yeah. You see the D line group too. They were kind of doing it was weird. Not weird, but weird in a good way. You see Coach Rebrovich right there. Again, super hands-on, talking up the boys. But they were on a break, if you can believe it. The D-line group was kind of on a break here. And he had them, Coach Ogabasi and Rebrovich had them basically that you see the trash cans set up. They set up a fake offensive line with the trash cans and had the guys doing walkthrough. So even while they're quote unquote taking a break, they're still doing walkthrough, still working. And Preston Smith had a few choice words for the quarterbacks in the background. we don't have audio, but he was talking up his QBs, and it was just a cool moment, man. A lot of good vibes at practice too, but definitely intense, man. For every lighthearted moment like that, there was some intensity, and you want to see some of that. You want to see that fire.
Definitely, man. Omer said you had some great videos today, Tim. Yeah, I had a crazy busy day, and when I finally got settled down and seen where you were tweeting stuff out, the videos were awesome, man. Appreciate you taking the time to do that for sure. Let's see what else we got here. This is pretty cool. If we can get it to zoom in enough. Check out Quay Walker work. I think that's Coach Campanelli he's with there, right? Look at this drill.
Yep.
Literally holding a towel over his eyes last second so he could see the ball. What did Quay struggle with last year? He was good in coverage. He was in the right spot, but he dropped a few picks, right?
Yep.
Pretty cool they're identifying that. I love that Coach Campanelli and Quay Walker are in each other's hip pocket here, man, because I'm telling you, if anybody can pull the best out of Quay, it's that dude right there. That's fire on fire, man. Have you got a chance to hear him in practice?
Oh, yeah. And, kind of observe. I can, if these finish uploading, I've got some really good photos too of moments kind of real similar to this. Nice. Coach Camp is awesome just to really watch these guys work with our players. And, you mentioned him and Quay being attached at the hip, in extension, what I witnessed today too was Edrin Cooper attached at the hip with Quay Walker. Coop's not really out there doing anything super meaningful right now, obviously. But everywhere Quay went, Cooper was right there with him. And I saw a lot of conversation between those two. They seem to be kind of buddy and, good teammates and all of that. But there was some teaching and some information sharing between, the third year player and the rookie. So, it's good to see. But yeah, Coach Campanelli, this is great. I love seeing stuff like this. I don't care if this drill leads to one PBU turning into a interception this year, then it's totally worth it. We saw Quay make a lot of plays on the ball last year that could have been pick sixes or at least picks, and they weren't. This is going to change with this type of attitude. And these coaches are intense, man. I'm telling you, it's not just Coach Rebrovich, but it's, Campanelli, Ogabasi, Coach Ansley, Jeff Hafley too. We know Jeff Hafley as the DB whisperer. Well, he doesn't whisper all the time. I'll tell you that. I saw him getting a little chippy today too. And, you love to see it, man.
Absolutely. 2-0 for this. Says, is that Jay Cutler throwing to our defense? That's the good old days right there. Eric Sutherland says NFL Films ain't got poopy on Tim. Amen. I love NFL Films, man. I'm such a sucker for that stuff. Really good follow. Oh, by the way, that was Bill Huber that had that really cool video of Coach Campanelli with Quay Walker. Make sure you guys go give it a like or retweet, all that stuff. There's a really cool follow called Old Time Football on Twitter. If y'all get a chance, go give it a follow. You would not be disappointed, man. It's just constantly them tweeting out old NFL Films footage. There's a lot of Packer stuff. You can literally click on their profile, go to the search engine. It'll search everything on their Twitter page. You just type in Packers or a player's name. They probably tweeted a video out. It's really cool. What we got here, Tim?
Oh, just rolling through a camera roll. This is just some photos I took.
I mean, it looked like a beautiful day out there, dude.
Oh, it was. It was amazing. This was kind of fun. I caught a couple shots of Anders Carlson and Greg Joseph. They didn't get a lot of work in today. From what I saw, it was mostly the new kicker number 3 who didn't do so hot today. But it was cool to see those guys talking. Just some photos here after camp, random stuff. It was hot. You see a lot of guys here on the sideline taking a knee.
Yeah. Go back a picture if you don't care, Tim. Go back one more. I love these shots where it's just the fans and the walk and everything. It was maybe it was forward. There was a shot show of the fan. There you go. I love stuff like that, man. Just to see the kids out there meeting the players and everything, the autographs, and the Packers. Packers put a really cool video out earlier today too, with players signing autographs and all that good stuff. So really, really awesome.
Yeah, it was. I caught some cool moments before practice today because, like the unwritten rule is if you are an autograph seeker, you want a photo, you want to take the kids to meet the players, you're going to have a higher likelihood of having those moments after practice as opposed to when they're walking in. They're kind of in a rush to get into the facility so they don't get fined for being late. So a lot of times they'll ask if you can wait till after practice. But I can tell you, I saw Jordan Morgan, Carrington Valentine, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs. A lot of the guys, they stopped on their way in today and took a moment to sign some stuff and, make a few kids' days, which was, a testament to what we do here in Green Bay. These players do care about the fans, and it shows every time you're at training camp. If you haven't been up for one, it's totally worth it. No matter how far away you're coming from, you got to get to at least one if you can, just to experience it, because it's truly unique here in Green Bay.
Definitely. Coach Lynn in the chat. My goodness, you've been in here with Eric Sutherland too long, Coach. He's corrupted you, no doubt about it. All right, let's get into the details of practice. That sound good, Tim?
Yes. There he is. Hey, there's a photo. Zane Anderson right there. There he is. It's a real person.
He does exist. He does exist. I love it. All right, so injury update. Right off the bat, Andy Herman tweeted out, the only players from this list not practicing today, Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Banks, Edgerrin Cooper, and then, of course, Marshawn Lloyd with the hammy. So, and the picture that he screenshotted here were the scratches for the preseason game the other day. So everyone on this list is practicing with the exception of Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Banks, Edgerrin Cooper, and Marshawn Lloyd, it sounds like. Okay, so from that list specifically, there might be a few other injuries, kind of sprinkled in and around there. Now, as far as the starters in team, guys, we're coming down the stretch now. You got to really start to pay attention to this stuff. They're not going to waste reps on guys that they don't think are going to be starters. You know what I'm saying? So this is where you really want to perk your ears up a little bit and say, okay, let's start paying attention to some of these. This is what matters, not the depth chart on the website. The depth chart on the website, none of the coaches put any detail into that. They mentioned
and it's at least a week off from updates. It's always behind.
Yeah. And they asked Matt LaFleur about it. He said, I told you guys, like when they handed it to you, yeah, that looks good. And I just tossed it to the side. Like I'm not don't pay attention to the depth charts. He said that from day one. But
Yep.
you can pay attention to this stuff because, again, the time that these guys are getting, that's really going to show where the value is. So starters in team, Jordan Love, you had Josh Jacobs and A.J. Dillon on the field, so they must have been in some kind of little double sidecar like a pony package. Luke Musgrave was the tight end. Dontavion Wicks and Romeo Dobbs were the receivers. From left to right on the offensive line, you had Rasheed Walker, Elton Jenkins, Josh Meyer, Sean Ryan, Zach Tom. Jordan Morgan was back today, but in a very limited fashion from what I understand. Is that what you understood too, Tim? Like he was back at practice, which is a great sign,
Yep.
but he wasn't doing the 11 on 11, I don't believe yet.
No, but he was in on some of the individual stuff,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
So on defense, this is what I think the starting defensive line will be in our base 4-3. Well, they're in a nickel here, but I think it'll apply the same in a 4-3. They may prefer Slayton over White, but in this nickel set here, since we were in 11 personnel on the offensive side of the ball, Rashawn Gary, Devontae White,
Mhm.
Kenny Clark, and Preston Smith. I think that front four right there, 75 to 80% of the time in your nickel 4-2-5, or if you want to go with a big nickel look,
Yep.
that's probably going to be your defensive front, right? Tim?
With LVN, popping in there for Preston or maybe even Rashawn too. I mean, I think LVN can play multiple spots on that D
He's going to
line.
get so much more playing time this year, Tim.
Yeah,
I
for
really
sure.
believe that.
For
Yeah.
sure, which makes us even more stout up front.
Definitely. At the linebacker position, they had Eric Wilson and Isaiah McDuffie in there.
Now that's because of the Quay Walker cramp thing I was talking about earlier. He was he missed it was bad timing because it was right after individual drills they were breaking off to go into team, and Quay cramped up, pickle juice, banana, training room, the whole nine. And yeah, you looked and it was Wilson and McDuff out there, but I think Quay caught up a little bit after the drills.
All right, so in the secondary, you had Jair Alexander and Eric Stokes on the outside. You had Keyshawn Nixon in the slot. And then at the safety position, we had Javon Bullard and Xavier McKinney. So it sounds like Bull's probably going to be your starting safety alongside McKinney, unless Evan Williams just continues to crank it up. And he's had a great camp. So moving on to quarterbacks, Andy Herman said strike from Michael Pratt to Wayne over the middle. Pratt continues to sling it, followed by a bomb from Love to Watson deep downfield for about 60. I'll say it again. Followed by a bomb from Love to Watson deep downfield for about 60 yards. Another gorgeous Love deep ball, and Watson showing off his big play ability. More on Pratt. Andy Herman tweeted out, Packers might need to start thinking about Michael Pratt as number 2 even more. If he's this good and doesn't even know the playbook yet, it's super intriguing. Just found Sims on a corner route rolling to his right for a big gain. He's been absolute money lately. So Michael Pratt obviously picking up steam here late in camp. Now, I want to mention this before we get to a Luke Musgrave tweet from today. Yesterday, tight end coach John Dunn on Luke Musgrave's, quote, quiet camp said, quote, it's camp. Those opportunities will come. There's nothing to it. Okay, so he's kind of downplaying the fact that Luke Musgrave has been kind of quiet during camp. Well, today sounded like a little bit of a rough day. Andy Herman said, Love with a gorgeous throw. Him open pass to throw him open pass to Musgrave, but 88 can't hang on. Love tries to hit a seam throw in between the corner and the safety to Reed, but just off his fingertips. Love complete to Melton, short on a quick out. Then Love had Davis on a deep post, but a big overthrow. So the offense trying to get that zeroed in. Musgrave, Tim, I wanted to ask you, man, did you get a look at Musgrave? I know you can't focus on all the players while you're at practice. It does seem like he's having kind of a quiet camp. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know either. I did get to see a little bit of him. Maybe a handful of reps, 2 or 3, nothing in great detail. I will tell you, I did get to see some Tyler Davis, and I do remember this play that Andy's talking about here, the deep post. Davis ran a pretty good route, probably, best of his ability, and had an opportunity, but Jordan just left it long, which is, hey, this is what we talked about learning from mistakes, right? You're going to miss in that situation, miss long, miss deep, don't leave it short for a pick. That's almost automatic at this point for Jordan. But yeah, I think Musgrave is having kind of a quiet camp. That could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Again, this is that time of year where we all like to read into every little thing that goes on or doesn't go on. There's a enough preseason left. There's enough time before week 1 against the Eagles. So, we'll see. And we all know what Luke Musgrave can do and what he brings to the table. So just give him time to get his legs under him. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Let's see here now. Since we're talking Musgrave, this got me fired up. Andy Herman said, "Oh my God, a screen pass that worked. Love hits Musgrave on the tight end screen, and Kraft takes out 2 defenders with a block. Nice pickup for the offense." So I'm wondering if they were in like a 12 ace look where the tight ends were on the same side. So it was like a twins 12 ace look. But it's pretty sweet to see Tucker Kraft took out 2 defenders blocking. I'm telling you, I think Tucker Kraft's going to break out this year, Tim. Also, Ben Sims, Andy Herman tweeted out Ben Sims with a nice catch over the middle from Clifford and a nice little move after the catch. 2 nice plays from Sims so far. So it sounds like outside of Musgrave having kind of a quiet camp, these tight ends are really starting to gel together, man. We're not even talking Joel Wilson, who absolutely put out in the preseason game, right?
Yeah, and it's like you look at this tight end room, it's kind of mirroring this wide receiver room. Like we talk about, there are guys stepping up. There is talent here. I personally believe getting Tyler Davis back at camp is really benefiting this tight end room because it's freeing up some of these other guys to get some of these opportunities. And then, they're using Tyler Davis the way that they're comfortable using him. He's not a stranger to this system, and he's familiar with his responsibilities. That's why it was kind of like the highlight of the day to see Love, launch a deep one to him. You don't see that every day. Love targeting, or anyone really targeting Tyler Davis in the pass game, right? We know him as a special teamer and the SIF blocking master and all of those things. So it's nice to see some of these other guys getting some targets. And yeah, I feel great about Sims. Ben Sims is a solid tight end. Another guy that, we would probably put in that category of, what do they call that? Serviceable, right? He's not a liability. He's not going to jump off the stat sheet, but man, he's not going to make a lot of mistakes and he's going to make some plays for you. Another good asset to have in your back pocket, so to speak, with that tight end room. So I love to see it.
Yeah. And you got Joe Wilson that you can kind of stash on the practice squad and let him continue to get better. And here's the reality. Guys are going to get banged up. He'll get his call just like Ben Sims did last year. And I thought Ben Sims answered the call all year. I thought he played pretty well. Andy Herman went on to tweet. Now, he had quote tweeted a previous tweet. "Big mistake by rookie Javon Bullard, who doesn't line up right and leaves Jaden Reed uncovered. Reed takes it deep. Love finds him for a huge gain down the left sideline." And then he put Xavier McKinney a bit shaken up after the play and walks off. Okay.
Yeah, that was happening a lot today.
So he quote tweeted that and put, "McKinney looks fine along the sideline, has his helmet ready to go, doesn't look like anything to worry about." And then Andy Herman went on to say, "McKinney back in team, good to go." So just a little banged up, but nothing to worry about there. I'm sure some of you guys and gals might have seen a tweet or two come across the wire about McKinney getting a little banged up. Sounds like he's good. No reason to worry there. This got me fired up. Andy Herman tweeted out, "Couple sacks of Clifford in team. Christian Young on a coverage sack.
Yeah.
And Kalen King off the slot on a blitz." Tim, Kalen King in the slot again, man.
Yeah. And they're using him aggressively in the slot too, firing that nickel blitz like that. And can you go back to that comment? I wanted to read that one more time.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, Christian Young, the coverage sack. Yeah. Clifford, I saw a couple of those today. And you know what I noticed? It's probably a trend everywhere at camp. The guys got the red shirts on. They know they can't be hit. So, it's nothing to get excited about if you see a quarterback stand tall in the pocket during team drills at camp, because he knows he's invincible back there. Nobody's gonna drill him. So we saw guys standing in there longer and taking those opportunities. And Clifford didn't make a lot of mistakes, but yeah, there was a couple for sure today. Yeah. And the defense was flying everywhere, man. Kalen King is another one to watch, man. Another one to watch for sure in this secondary.
Definitely. If you guys would hit that like button for us, got a bunch of people in here. Every time you hit that like button, it cranks the algorithm and puts this on other people's home pages. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Let's get into the good stuff, Tim. These team drills that are situational. This is Bill Belichick one-on-one. This is like where you make your hay in practice, especially training camp. Andy Herman says Love executes a gorgeous little drive. 22 seconds left, opposing 18-yard line, no timeouts. Slant the Wicks for 16. Spike the ball to stop the clock. Touchdown to Dobbs, who was wide open.
Oh, yeah. That one to Dobbs was so pretty because he was butt naked through the trailer park. It was
Let's go.
it looked like a fade to the pylon, and it was perfect. And you could just see the sheer irritation and frustration on the defensive side of the field because they thought they had it. And Rome just ran a great route. And yeah, man, that was a thing of beauty. Look forward to seeing that all year long.
Definitely. So here was Michael Pratt's attempt at the same thing. Okay, so 22 seconds left, opposing 18-yard line, no timeouts. Same situation for Pratt, incomplete in the end zone. He just said, hell with it. Let's take a shot right off the top. He said, had a chance for a touchdown, but overthrows out of bounds. Complete on the next play to Melton to the 6 and out of bounds. Slayton tipped the pass at the line. Ballantyne pass breakup outside. Some odd happenings on that drive. Was very disjointed, okay?
Yes.
So we're gonna get into Michael Pratt a little bit deeper here in a second. Next, 40 seconds left, tie game, ball at their own 45, 1st and 10. The ones are up first, so this is first team. Loving Wicks over the middle, but it was slightly behind him, and Wicks had to slow down for it. In the meantime, Jair closed in a blink and broke it up. Let's go, Jair. That's what I'm
let's he left out a crucial part of this play here.
What was that?
Jair absolutely mollywopped Tay Wicks on that.
So it should have been a penalty.
Every single person in camp held their breath. We all went,
oh, gotcha.
Because it looked like both of them were hurt in a flash.
How dare you?
This is that intensity that we're talking about. And then, of course, Ja helped him up, and they're, picking each other up and right back to the huddle. But that was a scary, 2.5 seconds there at camp today. Well, everybody held their breath. But it was just a great play by Ja. And, it's kind of like we were saying about Stokes the other day. We're seeing aggressiveness and the hit stick capability of these corners that we haven't seen. I haven't seen this from Jair. So that was refreshing. But thank God everyone's okay. I'll say that for sure.
Got it. So he went on to say, incomplete to Dobbs down the left sideline. Good pressure, was basically a throwaway. False start on offense. They believe it was Rasheed Walker. And then Love tries to hit Dylan deep. Dylan a bit late locating it, but it was too far in front anyway. Defense wins there. Okay. Now here's the comment I wanted to get to, or the next update I wanted to get to. If Andy Herman spots this, there's something there. Okay. He just put, is there a new number 2 quarterback? Pratt getting both 2-minute drills. So LaFleur gave him both of the 2-minute drills with the second team, it sounds like. Pratt immediately slings 2 completions, Hicks and Sims, both over the middle, spiked it to stop the clock, throw away on 3rd down, field goal unit came on. And he just wanted to mention that stood out to Andy Herman, that they gave Michael Pratt both of those reps, both of those series, those 2-minute drills. It sounds like they're giving Michael Pratt an opportunity to win that number 2 spot. It's going to take a lot to take it away from Clifford. But you guys know I've been very vocal. I love Michael Pratt. I'm really, really impressed with that dude. If we go back to the draft, I had Pratt quite a bit higher than where they drafted him. I had him as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, not the best quarterback. Now, they took him, like I said, in the 7th round. I was really impressed with Michael Pratt's tape in college, too. I don't know, man. I kind of feel like I think he's got a legit shot, Tim, to beat out Sean Clifford. But we know Sean Clifford got that bulldog in him, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why they call it a battle, right? Because neither one of these guys is going down without a fight. And, I don't want to compare and contrast too much, but I will say this. Pratt looks poised. He, under pressure, with time and situation, down and distance, like you said, the 2-minute drill, these kind of things, huddling up, getting to the line quick, getting the calls out, making the adjustments, pre-snap, post-snap, read, react, release, all of these things. I'm not going to say he looks like a seasoned professional already, but he doesn't look like a rookie kid that's never played in the NFL before. And I think that's a sign of what's to come. Like you said, if the ones aren't going to play little to at all on Sunday against Denver, then we should get a heavy dose of Clifford and Pratt on Sunday. And I'm all for it. I do think when you look at Sean Clifford, sometimes you do see that under pressure. Sometimes he can get a little flustered,
right?
And he kind of makes a, maybe not the best decision with the football, but that has improved since last year for sure. He's not nearly as bad with that this year as he was last year. But Pratt has that mobility factor. I think that's the one thing that gives him an edge over Clifford. I think he's a little more mobile outside of the pocket when the legs are rolling and he's rolling left or right. He's accurate on the run and good downfield vision and not afraid to tuck it and run either. So definitely keep an eye on that QB2 battle.
Definitely. Larry Cano said probably getting priority and more prep for the Broncos game. That's kind of what it feels like, right, Larry? Like they might, Clifford got a lot more snaps this first preseason game than Michael Pratt. Maybe now they reverse that role, right, and give Pratt maybe a few extra snaps. I'm excited to watch him play because, again, he impressed me. It was preseason. It was against the 4th and 5th stringers. I get it. But still, I think you're on to something there, Larry, for sure. Let's see here. 2-0 for this says, watch Pratt be one of the best quarterbacks in this class. Telling you, man, the end of the year last year, people were talking about this guy's a borderline first-round pick. Like that was the chatter going into the offseason. So you never know, man. M. Smitty says the number 2 is certainly Clifford's to lose based on how things are going. I completely agree with that. I think he is in the number 2 spot right now. It seems like they're giving Pratt the opportunity to win it. Omer in the chat said, I still say they're keeping all 3 quarterbacks. I think so too. That's what it's feeling like, Tim. Really what it's
How are they going to keep 8 receivers like I want them to then?
And how are they going to keep 17 corners like I want them to?
And 8 tight ends.
Oh, man. Let's write a letter to Roger Goodell. We're going to extend the 53-man to 73, okay?
There you go. Only 1 cut. That's it. 1 cut after camp, and that's it. Let's go.
All right, final update of the day. Andy Herman with the field goal update, the kicker update, okay? Hill hits the final field goal in 2 minutes to end practice. He's 5 for 9 today. So the totals for camp now, this is the kicking battle. Greg Joseph, 47 of 54 with an 87% field goal percentage. Anders Carlson, 44 of 54 for 81.5. Alex Hill, 10 of 15 for 66.7.
66.7.
It's close. What is close to, Tim? Any idea?
Probably 65%.
65%.
65%. That's what that is correct, sir. It's close. Close enough. Close enough for government work.
Yeah, I don't know if Alex Hale makes the trip to Denver.
Probably not going to.
Yeah.
Now he might want to. Like, hey, I'll buy my ticket. Y'all take me out there with you, but I don't know if he's going to make it. So here's my question, Tim. We're overreacting to this all year. My big thing has been, look, if Greg Joseph gets a 5-kick lead, I'm going with him over Anders. Right now he's sitting at 3. I'd have to still lean toward Anders currently. How are you feeling about it, man?
Same way I felt from the beginning. It's Anders' job. I don't put too much stock into the percentages and the kick counts and those kind of things. It's a considering factor. So to say that it's irrelevant is a lie. Clearly they're looking at these things, but I don't think it's the be all to end all at the end of the day. I think it's about who Coach Bisaccia and Matt LaFleur, how they feel about the kicking game. And again, kicking is a unit. You've got a long snapper, a holder, and a place kicker. So I think they're looking for the best combination of personnel. I still feel like Anders Carlson has the higher ceiling. Future looks bright, put it that way. You can put some development into him. My concern with a guy like Greg Joseph taking the job is that he probably would kick phenomenal for us this year. But then what? Then are we back here again next year with 13 kickers at camp, right? Trying to figure out what we're going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so my heart is in there for Anders, and I do believe he's going to retain the job and probably kick better than he did last year for sure. So that's where I stand now. Nothing's changed. That's the boring answer.
Hey, you got it, man. I'm just going to keep checking the pulse. And again, you know my kind of rule. It's great to have differing opinions. You're saying, hey, I'm not putting much stock into it. I'm like, hey, look, this is what we got to go off of. I'm just that type of person. Like, give me the statistics. Give me all right, here's what happened. Here's what didn't happen. I want to make my decision based off of that type of thing. But one thing's for sure, they believe in Anders. They believe in him. And I think this competition is only going to make him better. You're going to pull the best out of him, that's for sure. And something else that many people don't talk about, kind of goes without saying, but many people don't talk about it, is looking over and having that camp battle every day. that's helping you handle pressure a little bit. You know, that's a little bit of simulating that game time. Hey, game's on the line, got to make this kick, right? I mean, it really is. Got all those eyes on you for sure.
And Greg Joseph is certainly a guy that could probably be practice squatted, right? Like I don't
know. I know Anders
past
can
that
be.
point.
I know Anders can be. I don't think either. Let me put it this way: let's assume Greg Joseph can be put on the practice squad. I'm not sure if he can or not. I want to say no, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's say they both can be put on. I don't think either of them is going to get signed to an active roster. So
neither do I, unless someone had a massive injury or something and they needed a kicker. Yeah.
So if it is Greg Joseph is not available for practice squad and Anders is, that's why I would lean toward put Anders on the practice squad. You still got his rights next year. You bring him back in on a 2-year and let's do this again type thing. You know, I just want the best kicker out there. If it's one kick, Tim, just one. If you're going to make one extra kick, and there's no way of knowing without having them both on the team, and I get all that, but if you're going to make one extra kick, that's the guy I want. That's just kind of – I know it's a very simple way of approaching it, but that's definitely how I see it. I want to mention this real quick, and we'll wrap up. We're a little bit over here. Wes Hawkowitz put this tweet out about Emmanuel Wilson, who I think is just really – to me, he has earned at least that number 3 spot on the roster. That's just the way I see it. He says, always enjoyable talking with Packers running back Emmanuel Wilson, who will practice/play versus the same Denver team that cut him after 3 days in May 2023. Quote, it was hard. I cried. I did. I felt like football wasn't for me no more, but I found myself with God, kept my head up, and kept pushing.
Amen.
Every
Emmanuel
player
Wilson.
on this,
How do you not love E-Dub, man? Love it.
Every player on this team is always talking about God. There's always talk. Brian Gutekunst, go back and watch his presser when he was hired. I want to give thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. First thing he said. Jordan Love, I am second. He wears it on his wrist, right? Meaning God is first, I'm second. Jair the other day, what has nothing to do with me in his Instagram post, has nothing to do with me. It's all God. Emmanuel, I just love it. I love this team, dude. Love everything about it. Yes. And I love that it bothers people, to be honest with you. So, that being said, we're out of here, guys. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to leave you with this. Look at this. We got this.
Tupac LaFleur.
Got it back, baby. I found it. So
I love it.
I don't know if we'll ever find who originally made that Photoshop because it's gotten used of profile pictures and everything, but we got it here on the show now. So if you're listening out there and you made that Photoshop there of Tupac LaFleur, thank you for your service. You're a good Packer fan. All right. So that being said, we're out, guys. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time, to talk more Packers. Got another camp practice tomorrow, right, Tim?
Yep. And I'll get my videos uploaded this time.
Gotcha. Hey, listen, if you do, great. No big deal, man. What you did tonight was awesome. We appreciate you, man, for sure. It's nice to have boots on the ground out there. So 10:30 a.m. Central Time. If you're find yourself around Green Bay, go out there, check out practice. And then, of course, we got the game coming up on Sunday at Denver, 7 p.m. Central Time. So it's going to be nice to see a little night game in. Tim, help me out here, sir.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.